You can pull the left side panel, take a look while the pump is running, and water's actually filling up in the reservoir. So the CIP pump is actually functioning, but you're still getting the error. That means it hasn't met the timing requirement, that the float has not filled up in time. The electronic float in the reservoir hasn't gone from low to high in enough time to meet the requirement. Then you get the CIP error. What you can do, go ahead and fill it all the way up like you normally would, or connect the water line, normally fill up the reservoir. See how full it gets. It has to be a minimum when it's full to this line that's embossed in the side of the reservoir. If it is not, or if it's very close to this line, I like to see it a little bit higher than this line. Somewhere between the lip and this line is a good spot, maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/8 to a 1/4 inch above this line. You do not want it to be too high so that it ends up going out the overflow. Then water's going to constantly run. What you can do is you take the lid off. And like I said, this is the electronic float. And this is what goes from low to high. They tell the machine that it's full of water. The mechanical float is just like a float on your toilet. It caps off the water flow. You want to make sure that this is flowing, that water is actually coming out. There's no scale buildup in this nozzle or in this opening where the water flows through that's impeding, that it actually the float will move freely, and it's doing what it's supposed to cap off flow and actually open up so that it can allow water in. If this isn't opening freely, that's going to severely impact how fast the machine can fill with water. All you need to do, it's moving freely, you know water's flowing okay. You can bend this float a little higher and do a little bit tighter V. So it's supposed to be about level. You can bend it up just a little bit to allow, this will allow more water in the reservoir when the water comes in. And now now your water level will be a little higher. It won't start capping off the flow as quickly, and it should now meet that timing requirement and no longer error. If the float is not filling at all and you know the problem is something to do with the CIP pump and the flow, then you just need to go back and look at the cleaning hose and make sure that the pump is actually priming. If there is no flow into the reservoir, other things to check would be the brown valve. This is normally open and controls water flow into the reservoir. The check valve on the CIP pump output could be preventing flow. First, make sure that the CIP pump runs and primes by removing the output and running the pump with the cleaning hose and a jug of water. Also make sure there are no obstructions in the port for the cleaning hose and that everything is intact internally. You can usually peek in there and see if there is an internal O-ring that cannot be reached or repaired. And if they have slid out of place, that will cause the line to suck air when the CIP pump is running. Also, make sure the CIP hose has a good O-ring. Before you go and plug it in, you need to examine it. You need to make sure the male quick connect has a good O-ring on it. Make sure everything looks good with the mesh filter. It's not jammed up. There's not something clogging it. The cleaning hose is in good shape. Once that's good, plug it into the front. And something that can help aid having it slide in is you just dunk that tip with the O-ring into the water or into your cleaning solution beforehand, and it should connect it much easier. And also, when you're doing your cleaning, you want to make sure that that thing stays submerged the whole time, that mesh filter stays down in the jug the whole time. If it starts curly queuing up, sucking air, the machine's not going to get clean. You have to open
And I'm going to disconnect the water just to take it out of play for us here. So we know that there's no water being run or pushed to the machine. And I go ahead and open up the water dispense. So it dribble a little bit, but nothing's flowing. I disconnected the water, so I know there's nothing else coming into the machine. Now you can turn on the CIP pump. When you turn on the CIP pump, it's also going to automatically toggle on the water inlet valve, which is what we kind of took out of play right there by disconnecting the water line. And you'll see we've got water flowing. You should hear the pump hum, gurgle a little bit. If it's having trouble, the best way to take care of that, normally if you go to the pump on the output side, if it's struggling, you hear it humming, you know it's running. Sometimes when they've run dry or there's been a problem or there was a bad O-ring and it's been sucking air for a while, it needs a little help repriming. Now you're going to encounter CIP pumps in 2 locations on these machines. Older machines are going to have the CIP pump on the back mounted higher by the manifolds. Newer ones, we relocated it lower, which is also to help assist the priming. It'll be lower down here by the compressor. And what you want to do is to just remove the output side of the pump. There's a little clip. You'll push it out, and then you can pull the output line. There we go. So you want to remove the output side. And if you notice too, the output side has a check valve on it. So if we do this little test here, we go back in, you want to have a rag or a towel, maybe a cup or something over there. You got a second set of hands with another person while somebody toggles it on and off. You don't need to open a valve for this because we've alleviated the output side. You can go back into the cleaning outputs, start running the pump. It should fairly quickly then prime. You'll see water coming out of the output side. Go ahead and push the line back on. You can do that while it's running. Or have somebody toggle it back off. Then it should push through. If it still does not push through to the dispense point, then you probably have a stuck check valve. And one way to try to solve that without having to replace the check valve is you can backfeed the water into the unit. So you have the same connections in the front for the cleaning hose as you do in the back for the main water line. And you simply would take the water line from the back. Most places have enough service loop that you can do this. Take it to the front. You can plug that directly into the front port for the cleaning port, and it should force feed water up through the CIP pump. And you open a valve, you should then get water coming through the dispense point. That tells you you've opened up that line. Disconnect, connect the jug back up and run the pump, and it should be good to go. If not, then you may need to still replace that check valve.